Now to a story we've been following for the last 13 years. It deals with a recurring cycle of drought in north central South Dakota.
That part of the state is experiencing drought conditions again right now. Take a look. This is the latest drought monitor map from the National Drought Mitigation Center, which shows all of South Dakota listed as either abnormally dry or in moderate drought. For folks in and near Mobridge, these conditions are nothing new, and that's the problem. It happens all too often. When it gets dry, they get nervous because it typically means they're on the cusp of losing cattle, crops, and cash. Farmers are typically eternal optimists, believing the best is always yet to come. But that optimism is being challenged right now in a way that is hard to ignore.
It is dry up here. The topsoil moisture is really dry.
Pat Thorstensen is a third-generation South Dakota cattle producer and farmer. This isn't the first time he has told me he's worried about dry conditions. I first met Pat in 2002, and this is what he told me then.
We're just trying to get by, another year. You know, hopefully it gets better next year.
This is what he's telling me now.
I do stress about it because there's times that, you know, if you don't get a corn crop or a hay crop, I mean, you're going to have to start buying more hay, and it gets pretty crazy out here.
The signs of the dry conditions here are easy to spot. The burned landscape from where wildfires have started and spread, the stock dams where water is evaporating and receding, and the absence of green anything. No green grass, no green trees. Everything is a shade of brown or tan.
When the farmers are nervous, you're nervous. You know, in your communities, in these rural communities in South Dakota like Mobridge, if the farmers don't do well, then it's a huge impact on our whole economy.
Hayden Merkel is the executive director of the Mobridge Chamber of Commerce. She tells me while this area touts its tourism opportunities through fishing and hunting, what drives the economy year-round is agriculture. A bad year for farmers and producers is a bad year for Mobridge and all of its surrounding communities.
When our farmers and our ranchers do well, then they come to town and they buy new vehicles, they buy new equipment, they buy more groceries, all these different things. And so really, the whole town is basically a support network in a lot of ways for their operations.
Pat Thorstensen's immediate concern is his cattle herd. The last time drought set in here, he had to drive 100 miles to find available hay to buy at an inflated price to keep his cattle alive.
This year it might be 200 miles that we got to go to get hay, or, you know, even further. It just depends on where this weather pattern, you know, heads out.
The dry spring follows a dry winter. Typically, snowpack up here helps things from drying out. This year, there was no real snow to speak of, which means no moisture. The only thing constant right now is the wind, which dries things up even more.
Now the topsoil and all the grasses are so dried out that if there's a fire that gets started now, and the wind the way it's been pretty crazy.
The fire danger here is so real that Pat has his tractor fully fueled with his discs attached and a truck with water tanks always ready to go. Already this year, he has been out fighting fires to prevent pasture land from burning up. The next 30 days will be crucial for Pat and hundreds of other north central South Dakota producers. Earlier we told you Pat's optimism was being challenged. But make no mistake, it is still there, even in the face of drought.
Waiting is a hard part, yeah. But you still have to believe, and we're eternal optimists out here. We believe that eventually the good Lord's going to come through for us.
Pat is prepared should a longer-term drought set in. All the phone numbers he's used in the past to find available hay for his cattle, he says he has those numbers at the ready right now.